Coming up next, I'm going to help you get over the fear of public speaking. We're going to talk about the law of the Zipcode. We'll take your calls, your chats, and more. It starts right now. Coming to you live from Ramsey Studios in Nashville. You're joining a conversation about who you are, what you were created to do, where you want to do it, and how you can get there. I'm Ken, and I'm so excited to have you here on the Ken Coleman Show. 844-747-2577, 844-747-2577. A little bit later in the program, we will get to your chat questions right there. And so getting you warmed up on how to do that, you want to do a very direct question here. So it needs to be right to the point so that I can answer it as clearly as possible. And if it's more nuanced and there's more details, then call in right now. I'm live right now. You can call in 844-747-2577, and I can go back and forth with you, and I'm thrilled to do so. All right. So we know from tons and tons of data and research and studies that one of the greatest fears for the human race is public speaking. Now, some of you hear public speaking and you think, all right, that's not a really big fear of mine because I'm never going to do it. I'm not going to speak in front of 10,000 people. Wait a second. Public speaking could be talking in front of 12 people. It doesn't have to be 12,000 people. The idea of a sales presentation or just a presentation, even if you're not a sales role, at some point, all of us are going to have to make some type of public presentation. And so it is not the size of the audience that creates the fear. It is simply that there is an audience and you have to speak to them. And so I came across this article. I think this is very, very helpful for those of you out there who deal with this fear. And I don't want you to be ashamed of your fear. I want you to understand that this fear is real. However, there are hacks. There are ways to overcome this fear. I read this article and I thought, this is good. And I want to share this because full disclosure, I don't get scared of speaking in front of people. Okay, I don't get scared about hosting a live show. It doesn't even faze me. I know I'm a freak, but I want you to be able to have the hacks. So here we go. This is some good stuff. Ann Keto is an expert. She was with Quartz, and she said in this article from Inc.com, she said, after coaching hundreds of speakers over the past 20 years, curators of the Elite TED Ideas Conference have a simple perspective shifting mantra that seems to help them get over their nerves. And here it is, 5 words. Everyone is on your side. Everyone is on your side. So you don't go into an environment here where you're speaking publicly and you feel as though they're not for me. Here's why. Keto goes on, and this is really good. She says a botched presentation or pitch doesn't benefit anyone. It isn't just embarrassing for the speaker, it's also disappointing for the attendees who give their time and attention, both precious commodities. In this context, it makes perfect sense for speakers to envision a supportive audience. So what are some other ways to actually do this? How, not just tell yourself, because it would be good for you to say those 5 words right before you have to go into a public presentation. Everyone is for me, right? Everybody is on my side. But Chris Anderson, who is the founder of TED Talk, said, early on in your talk, look out for faces that seem sympathetic. If you can find 3 or 4 in different parts of the audience, give the talk to them. Move your gaze from one to the next in turn, and everyone in the audience will see you connecting and the encouragement. This is brilliant. This is absolutely true. So I've got 3 cameras in the studio right now. And so if I'm a public speaker, I'm looking over in this section. If I see a friendly face, just somebody who just looks nice and is smiling at me, well, I'm going to speak to her. And I'm going to find her, and I'm going to keep finding her throughout the talk. And then I'm going to come over to this section. I'm going to look for somebody who maybe shook their head or said that's right or something. They gave me some type of affirmation, and I'm going to look at them. And then I'm going to come over to this side of the room, and I'm going to find that same warm person. And so watch what happens. I'm here, and then I come over here, and then I come over here. And if I'm in the audience, an audience member is going, well, this speaker is working the room. And so that's how that works. So one last thing from Susan Cain, as a best-selling author I've had the privilege to interview. She said, remember, public speaking is not about you. It's your job to take care of the audience, not to be judged or even entertain them. It's about them. So think of yourself as, I am here to give something that I know is valuable to the audience. And when you have that mindset, along with that little hack to find the friendly faces and to realize that everyone's for you, they don't want you to be awful. It's awkward for them too. I think those are wonderful, wonderful little hacks that will help you face public speaking. Really, really good stuff. 844-747-2577 is the number. 844-747-2577. Hey, if you are watching on YouTube right now, well, of course you are. That's where we are. And you're in the chat room. Let's do a thumbs up if you had some progress this week. Here we are on a Friday, and you made some progress. Let's do a thumbs up. I'm going to take a swig of water, Joe. I don't know what's going on with my throat all of a sudden, but this is what happens, folks, when you're live. Oh, you got to love the water. By the way, I just shared some speaking tips. I just tasted that water, and it helped whatever was going on there. But for those of you who speak a good bit, or you're going to be speaking, don't drink cold water. That has a negative effect on your vocal cords. You want room temperature water. And I just had a sip of the room temperature water. I think I'll have another. You remember those sound effects, Joe? Why do you hate that so much? Why does that bother you so much when I make sound effects into the mic? Yeah, there you go. All right. Fun stuff. Joe needs to lighten up. But you know, the room temperature water, it really does help. So there you go. Little extra bonus content today here on the Ken Coleman Show. 844-747-2577. So if you had some type of progress this week, give me a thumbs up in there and encourage each other throughout the show. We're going to get to your chat questions coming up. They're already coming in. Fun stuff in just a moment. 844-747-2577. The number. Brett's on the line in Anchorage, Alaska. Wow, Brett, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hey, Ken. Nice to be on here. I appreciate all the good things that you guys do over there.
Well, thank you, Brett. I appreciate that. How can I help today?
Okay, so I am 48, and in my young life, I was a minister, and you know, I'm kind of looking at career change possibilities, and kind of don't know where to go. So, got a family and a wonderful wife, and we're just kind of looking for a way that we could work together as a family to, you know, to do what we think is the best thing in this life.
All right. What is your heart telling you? I mean, are you currently a pastor, or are you saying that you were a pastor, or you were in ministry and you're no longer there? That's what I'm not clear on.
Right. I have been a pastor, and I have been in mission work, and not anymore for different reasons, but I have a big passion for the Word of God, and I still love it. And
what are you doing now?
For work, I am actually working for the Commerce Department for the Census.
Okay. And am I hearing that your heart longs to be back in ministry, and that's the career change, or you just have no idea what's next?
Well, you know, the reasonable thing if you're in ministry is to be a pastor in our world. But, you know, I would probably peg myself more of a philosopher, to be honest.
You just gave me a clue. I'm going to dig a little bit here. I think you want to be in ministry, but you don't want to be a pastor. That's what I think. Am I right?
That's pretty close, I would say.
Then say it better. Then say it better than I said it, because I'm listening. I'm trying to hear what you're not saying. So say it better than I just said that. Say it better. Dream. Don't limit yourself, Brett. We'll figure out how to get there in a moment. I want you to finish that sentence. What do you really want to do in ministry? I want to...
Well, I want to convey the idea to people that I want to make their world seem bigger, that God is bigger than they understand, and that He loves them. And, you know, it's a simple message without telling them, hey, you have to come to my church.
Okay, so how do you do that? keep dreaming for a second.
I don't know.
No, that's not. That's not true.
Well,
that's not true. You do know. I think you're just scared to death, or you just have so much doubt that you can actually do what it is you want to do. So how would you do that?
What I don't know, Ken, is I kind of feel like that to do such a thing would be basically having coffee with somebody and having a good conversation, putting God in the center of that conversation.
So do that.
Because I've been practicing that for a long time.
So why don't you do that? Why don't you figure out how to do that in a what we would call a side hustle in our cultural vernacular, right? But it's something you do on the side, and maybe that turns into a full-time ministry one day, or maybe you go work for somebody else. I've heard there's a reboot of Promise Keepers coming up. I'm not telling you to go work for them. I'm just simply trying to get your brain. I'm trying to get your brain outside of all of your limitations and go, wait a second, I have a heart for ministry. I have a heart for helping people. I don't want to be the guy who goes, come to my church. I don't want to do ministry or lead and guide ministry in a traditional church setting. Where are all the other places where I can get involved in a ministry? Or do I create my own thing and keep working for the Commerce Department, or quite frankly, go work for somebody else and do really well and make a lot of money or make enough money, and then I just do it on the side and it becomes my labor of love? I mean, I'm trying to give you multiple things here so that you go, oh, there is more than just one way. Because I think you called today kind of locked up on, I don't know where to go and how to get there. Am I right?
That's right.
All right, now, what are you thinking now that I just hit you with several things to think about? Now, where's your head?
Well, a lot of the things that you mentioned, I've kind of already been practicing, but, in a way, since I've done ministry for exchange for pay, it's almost like that is what has locked me up. Mm-hmm. But for probably about the last 5 to 7 years, I have been mainly working, in what some people call secular jobs,
Okay. So what do you want to do? What do you want to do? Come on, just say it. I know what's in your heart. What do you want to do? Describe it. You already did, but just really say it. I mean, what does it look like? You want to create a men's ministry where you're diving in and doing coffee and small group type stuff and leading them through studies? What is it? Just say it.
You know what? If in your vernacular, if I could be successful, and be guaranteed it, I would lead small groups and kind of tie people in on a smaller level of. Just, opening it up and seeing where. All right. So here's the deal.
Are you and your wife open to moving anywhere in the country, or are you staying in Alaska?
Well, I can give you a proximity principle story real quick.
I don't want to.
One of the reasons we.
Okay, give it to me real quick.
One of the reasons we came back to Alaska was to be around people who are kind of like-minded, and I've got kind of a spiritual mentor here.
Great.
And I came back and I just had coffee with him and several other people this morning.
Great. So here's the deal. I think you need to stop worrying about day job, and I think you need to keep your day job or find a better day job. And that's a separate category. And I think you until you find something full time. So if you want to be in Alaska, great. So if there's not a parachurch ministry in Alaska that would be able to hire you and allow you to do what you want to do, then you're going to have to do this on your own. And it's either going to be, ministry supported or self-supported or straight up volunteer, and you're not worried about any money because you got a day job. But I want to see you starting to do more of what it is you really want to do, which is these small groups, maybe creating some curriculum, leading some people, maybe providing to other churches. You just need to get active, my man, in that thing that you really want to do and not worry about getting paid to do it. Just do it, because you were going there. Well, Ken, if I knew it wouldn't fail and I knew it was successful, that's what I do. It's small group stuff and diving in. So go do that. The day job is what keeps you stable and funds that future. Stop worrying about how to turn it into a day job, and let's just prove to our heart that this is, in fact, what we want to do, and let's get better at it, and then it'll take care of itself. 844-747-2577 is the number. Let's go to Mandy, who's on the line in Kansas City. the home of the Chiefs. Mandy, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hey, Ken, thank you so much for taking my call. How are you today?
I am living the dream, Mandy. What's going on?
So I am in a little bit of predicament. I currently work at a job that I'm happy with. I have a great plan ahead of me. Problem is it's not my sweet spot. But I do the work. I'm comfortable. However, I got an offer for $5,000 less to go to something close to my sweet spot, and it's got tremendous bonus potential. But I don't know what.
You don't know what?
To take it or not.
Why not? Let's run through this. It has tremendous potential. It has tremendous potential, and it's closer to your sweet spot. I want to dive in on that. If you would move up financially, which I heard that part, but could you also move closer or move actually into sweet spot work where you're using what you do best to do what you love that create results that matter? If it leads you to both, meaning actually into a sweet spot position where you can fill that role that you were created to fill, and it also is going to give you more money. If I have to take a $5,000 pay cut in a temporary play, I'd absolutely do it. I would plan for the cut. I would sacrifice and save, change the lifestyle, do something because it's temporary. So I'm always okay with taking a temporary step backwards in order to be able to move forward or move upward.
Even though I'm not for certain that I'd be good at it because I've never done it before, I just know that it's what I would enjoy.
Well, I mean, what makes you think you're not good at it? Do you have the raw talent?
Yes.
And you just don't have any experience?
Exactly.
Well, let me ask you a question. If you were trained and shown the way, and maybe you did a little research and talked to people who actually do what it is you're considering doing, and you find out everything there is, like you were doing a high school or college research paper on this new position, you know you've got the talent. If you found out everything involved, what it would take to win, what you could do to grow and train yourself while you're getting that early experience, and you got a company who trains you for the role, do you think you could crush it?
Yes, because I've done all that, and they all said, yes, I would crush it, and I think I would too.
Well, Mandy, you just answered your own question.
Okay, so it's the comfort zone that's got me in shambles then.
I think it's comfort combined. I think you're dealing with 50% you are comfortable and 50% you're just nervous because change is scary.
Yes. Okay.
I mean, and hey, Mandy, welcome to the human race. That doesn't make you a weirdo. It makes you normal. Mandy, are you a mom?
Yes.
What advice would you give to your child or one of your children or all your children in a similar situation to this? What would you tell them?
I just tell them to chase their dreams, make them happy.
Yeah, but Mom, I'm nervous.
Well, they'll be fine. I know my kids are going to always be fine.
Mandy, I love turning the tables on you. You just gave yourself advice, and I'm glad you called me, Mandy. You're going to be fine. You know you have what it takes, and so do the people who have offered you this job, and they're going to train you. And when it all comes down to just the one thing that's going to determine the success of this move, it's, does Mandy have what it takes, and would you bet on Mandy? And I'm putting all my chips right now, right here. Look at people are watching me. I got fake chips, Mandy, here on the YouTube channel, and I'm pushing them to the middle. I'm betting on Mandy, and are you betting on you?
I am. I absolutely am.
You know what time it is, don't you, Mandy?
It's go time.
It's go time. Go, Mandy, go. This is so awesome. I love it. Hey, this is such a great example. Just love Mandy and her vulnerability, her transparency. I hope you folks appreciate Mandy. Can we give Mandy some love in the chat room? How about some yay Mandys? Can we give Mandy some thumbs up? Because I hope she goes back and she watches this on the YouTube channel and sees all you all saying great things about her. Because I want you to understand that Mandy is all of you who are afraid. Mandy is all of you who are experiencing doubt right now. You see a future. Maybe even the opportunity has been presented to you just like it has Mandy, and you're still going, I don't know. Well, first thing I want you to know is that I'm here for you just like I was for Mandy, so give me a call. We'll walk you through it, right? And we're going to look at all of the facts, and then we're going to look at the emotions. We need to separate facts from our feelings, and when we focus on the facts, as Mandy did, then the feelings change. So let's get your mindset where it needs to be. That's why I'm here. 844-747-2577. All right, here we go. By the way, before I go to the chat room, we're brand new on YouTube. This is our 5th day as far as the live show goes, and I want your help. We've seen incredible data and stats right out of the gate, and I'm so grateful to you all for watching. But this isn't about me and making me feel good about how many people are watching. This is about you and other men and women like you who need clarity so they can confidently step forward to live the life they were created to live. That's why we do what we do. And so I'm asking you right now, will you subscribe right now? Just take a second. It's like to move the mouse, click subscribe, just like that. And would you also like the episode right now? Let's see if we can drive those likes up. Here's why. The social media people tell me that helps us with YouTube. That means they see engagement, and then they're going to push it out to people. And so YouTube, when they see engagement, they put it out in front of people who are searching for what you are searching for. So that would help us. Would you do that? I am incredibly grateful for that. All right, let's go to the chat room. Sasha Hernandez writes in, Ken, I've been a housekeeper for 31 years. I want to give a better future to my children by bringing more income into the household, but I want to love and feel passionate about what I do. Can you give me any advice? Well, again, this is one of those ones where I got to train you folks, and Sasha, I got to train you to get very specific in the question. I'm going to try to read into the question what I think I'm hearing. Because you've been a housekeeper for 31 years, you're really, really good at it, and I get the sense you like it, but you want to give a better future to your children with more income, but then you go, but I want to love and feel passionate about what I do. Can you give me advice? So my question is, what do you love, if anything, about being a housekeeper? And then what is a job, a role that you have always wondered about? What work would fire you up if I just gave it to you like that? And you knew you wouldn't fail, and you could just try it, you wouldn't have to commit, and you knew you could make the money, what would that be? Just allow your head and heart to kind of get on the same page. Eliminate fear and doubt and say, what would I do if I knew I couldn't fail? And then I want you to walk through the 3 lists that I ask everybody to consider about themselves. It is the clarify process in stage 1 of what I teach. Stage 1 is get clear. Here's how you get clear. What do you do best? This is talent. This is something you were just born with. You're just naturally good here. This kind of thing comes easy to you, and you can hone that into a very sharp skill, valuable skill. What are your character traits that are just strengths for you? They're just strengths. And think hard skills, soft skills is what we're thinking about here. And then what do you love to do? I just walked you through that. And then the last piece is, when you do work that you really enjoy, what gives you the greatest satisfaction? What is the result of that work that really makes your heart feel full? And when you can write those things down and then you see them all together. And so the formula is this: I use what I do best to do what I love to do most to create results that matter most. It's a 1, 2, 3, and that's how that works. And so when you begin to see how those intersect, you see, oh, there's many ways that I can do this work. Let's go to Chris Mountain. He says, I'm in the banking world and currently working towards opening a bakery. What do I tell my bosses, or when do I tell my bosses I'm leaving, knowing it may be 2 years before I open my own bakery? Let me look and make sure I'm not missing something here, Chris, because this is as straightforward as it gets. You don't tell them you're leaving until you're leaving. I wouldn't go in and go, hey, guys, breaking news. I'm going to open a bakery. Okay, Chris. Oh, wow. Whoa, okay. Hey, so when's that happening? I don't know. It might be 2 years. And you're just creating an unnecessary conversation where they go, okay, Chris is not committed. He's not long-term. Good for Chris. I'd probably buy some of his cakes, but we got the bigger problem is we're going to have to replace Chris. You're creating an unnecessary conversation. And so until I'd have the money set aside for the first 6 to 12 months of that bakery needs to be started on the side long before you go full time. So I don't know why we need to have that conversation. That doesn't make any sense to me at all. Angel Nunez says, I feel my sweet spot deals with political commentary. How do I determine what platform to focus on? This is a good question here. I love the nuance of this question. So Angel wants to do, or Angel, I'm not sure how to say that. I'm trying to be sensitive there. I'll give it both so that way you know at least I'm trying to pay attention. If you want to do political commentary, Don't worry about what platform. Try to get engaged with all platforms. And let's see which platform, A, you enjoy engaging with the most, B, which platform gives you the most traction. And I think that's what I would do. So start doing political commentary on all the platforms that you're thinking of in your head. And it's going to be great experience for you. And quite frankly, great strategy. Because even if you come away with and go, well, I really enjoy TV more than I do radio, or I enjoy the written word more than I do podcast, whatever it is, if you think about all the different platforms to distribute political commentary, understand that if you truly want to be a commentator, then your commentary is for everybody, and everybody's on all the platforms, right? So you don't want to just do content here. You want to do content that is then distributed in all the different platforms. But starting out, I would just kind of test a few. And then when you figure out that primary one, for me, it's television, radio. Those would be my two focuses. But I'm putting out the written word. We're doing podcasts as well. So it's not so much where, it's how we distribute. So 844-747-2577 is the number. Thank you so much for the chats. KenColeman.com is the website. ask@KenColemanShow.com, the email address if you want to connect with us on social media. I'd love to have you follow me on Instagram @KenColeman, but all of the connections at KenColeman.com. All right, so I started off the show teasing the law of the zip code. I said I was going to tell you about the law of the zip code. And some of you are going, the law of the zip code? What in the world does that mean? Well, I'm glad you asked me. I write about the law of the zip code in my best-selling book, The Proximity Principle. And I'm going to tell you what the law is, and then I want to tell you how this is so powerfully clarifying when you get this powerful little law. Here's what it says. Everything I need to get started is already around me. I know. Blows your mind, right? There's another sound effect in the mic, Joe. The law of the zip code says that everything I need to get started is already around me. So many people get stuck in the starting blocks of life, whatever your venture is, whatever you want to do. And by the way, can I just say this? A lot of my content, it's not just work related. Let me just talk to you for just a moment about getting started in any area of your life. Whether it be physical changes that you want to make, relational changes, whatever. And what happens is when we see a goal, it feels like a mountain. And it's very natural. And what happens is when we see that desired future, that long-term goal, it gets intimidating. And we go, oh my goodness, how in the world am I going to climb this mountain? I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to do that. I don't know this, I don't know that. And it gets really, really terrifying. And that's why people stay stuck. The law of the zip code comes in to say, wait a second, no matter what you're starting, if it's a business or starting a new career, everything you need to take that very first little teeny tiny step is already around you. People think I got to move somewhere to go somewhere. You don't have to move somewhere to go somewhere in your career. Now, will you have to move eventually? Probably, maybe not. But here's what I do know, that to start, you've got the relationships. There are people and places around you right now that can tell you what you need to know, that can teach you what you need to know, show you what you need to do, show you how to do it, and make more connections to the right people in the right places. And that is essentially the formula of the proximity principle. The right people plus the right places equals opportunity. In other words, when I continually put myself around the right people who are doing what I want to do and they're doing it successfully, and I'm putting myself in the right places where the type of work, the industry, the thing that I want to do, it's happening over here and it's happening at a high rate. When I'm around those people and in those places, I get the chance to learn, do, connect, and that is the fuel to move you forward. So the law of the zip code, I'm sharing with you today to make sure that you look around you. Stop looking way out here and way over there and way up there and way down here. And I want you to just go, oh, wait a second, I'm going to look right where I am. And who do I know and what places do I need to be in? I know I need to be around these people and I know I need to be in these places. And so that's what I'm going to focus on. Because everything I need to get started is around me. So I hope you grab that. because that will help you get started. Well, wait a second. There's some basic training I can learn right here in my Zipcode. There are courses I can take, or I can sit right here in my house and start learning online. I don't have to move. I got connections here that will lead to connections out there. That's the law of the Zipcode. Everything I need to get started is already around me. Start getting your head on a swivel and begin to identify all the people and places that can help you get started right now. And I'm telling you, it's not so scary. Remember, we're not trying to scale the mountain right now. I just got to get going on the mountain. I'm at the base of the mountain looking up here. I don't need to look up here to get started. I need to look straight in front of me. I got to start ascending the mountain, and you can do it right where you are. 844-747-2577 is the number. 844-747-2577. Back to the phones we go. Jason's on the line in Boise, Idaho. Jason, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hey, Ken. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure, Jason. How can I help?
So my question is about a resume for an internal hire. I've been working on getting it ready because there's a job coming up in my department, and I just don't know what to put in the area because I know everybody in my office, and I just don't know what to fill that area with.
Yeah, the who I know. Yeah, I think this is a great question. Here's what I want you to fill that with: killer endorsements, because everybody knows you. And remember, if you look at my resume guide, which by the way, folks, is at kencoleman.com, it's absolutely free, and we have a template. And so what Jason's talking about is we flipped our resume. The Ken Coleman Show resume doesn't look like anybody else's. Why? Because I want you to get noticed. Why do I want you to get noticed? Because it's really hard to get noticed. Why is it hard to get noticed? Man, stop asking me all these questions, people. I can't hardly keep up. No, here's the deal. 7.4 seconds. Process that for a moment. That's how long people are looking at your resume. Hiring manager, 7.4 seconds. So we have who I know at the top. And Jason, if you remember, we want you to use endorsement statements. There's not just I know this person, but you want that person to give you not even the referral, but I fully endorse Jason. Well, so you know everybody in the building. And so what I would do is I would get strong endorsement statements from the people that are the most influential. You think about all the people you have a relationship with in the company. You don't have to say this out loud, but you know the 2 or 3 or 4 that would be the biggest honchos that their endorsement goes further than everybody else's. You tracking me?
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Now, the other thing I would say is then I would also use that maybe for some outside endorsements. Even though you know everybody inside, when you've got some heavy hitters or people that might be very respected, if they're willing to give you an endorsement code, I put them there too. So don't worry about listing everybody you know there. What you're really doing is you're using that as a who I know. I've been blessed to have a relationship with Sam and Elizabeth. Sam, is, as you know, is the executive VP here. Elizabeth is the executive VP over here. And these are their endorsement statements. And so it's just run through the motions, because in your situation, Jason, as I say on this show and in my resume guide, that a resume is worthless without relationships. So you're already in. So now it's just not as important as somebody who's trying to get in. Make sense?
Yes, that makes sense.
So just fill it out. Yeah, man, good stuff. Appreciate you listening to the show. By the way, the resume guide is available. It's for free at kencoleman.com. Did you hear that? It's free. How to write the perfect resume, and it now has the template function to it. So you just plug in your information, and we're going to spit it out to you looking all nice and purty, as my grandmother used to say. 5 ways to fix the resume. This is an actual guide that tells you how to do it, why we do it that way, and then again, the template. So that's one of my 3 free get hired guides at kencoleman.com. Let's go to John, who is in Atlanta, Georgia, my old stomping grounds. John, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hey, Ken, thanks for having me.
Sure. What's going on?
Hey, Ken, so I've got a good job now. I'm in traveling over-the-road sales. Make good money. Been doing it for about 3 years, but it's a lot of time away from my family. Mm-hmm. And so I talked to my boss about looking at another position to be over the road less, and he offered to create a brand new position for me in our company, which would be a corporate sales position, and would transition me over to that over the next 12 months. But going to that would be a slower sales cycle than what I'm used to now, and it would likely result in at least a temporary pay cut. And so nervous about the change, going away from what I know I'm good at to something new, but then, of course, has the benefit of being home more with my family.
Yeah, this is a no-brainer. John, you know exactly what the answer is. I think you even know what I'm going to tell you. But you called just to see if your head and heart are aligned with what I think. Am I right?
Probably so.
Yeah, tell me what you think you're supposed to do. I'd rather you come to the realization, and I'll tell you if I disagree. What do you think you should do?
I think I should probably take the position and just prepare for the change financially before it comes.
Yes. John, you just said you're nervous because you're not sure if you're good at it. That's garbage. That's fear lying to you. You're good at sales. You're so good that you went to your boss and said, hey, I'd like to get off the road so I could be near my family more. And your leader said, absolutely, I'm going to create a position for you. If that doesn't make you feel valuable, John, I don't know what else I can do for you, brother.
That's a very good point.
That's a great point. Thank you very much. And so here's another point for you. Your heart longs to be near your kiddos. And you're going to be a different person. You're going to be a better salesperson because you're not focused on what you're missing. You're going to be a better salesperson, and I think the temporary pay cut is going to be really temporary. And I think you're willing to bet on you. And I think you're going to be more successful in this role than you would have been in the role that you're thinking about leaving. And I think you need to do it, and I don't think you need to think twice about it. And yes, you need to prepare for the slight change, the interruption in income, but it's going to be the better thing. And I think a year from now, John and John's family is going to be way happier. What do you think?
That sounds good. Thanks, Ken. I guess you needed to hear it from somebody else, too.
Hey, John, you know what time it is, don't you?
What time's that?
It's time for you to go. Stop thinking about it and do it. I'd call the boss right now. Right now. Hey, I just got off the phone with Ken Coleman, and he said I needed to do this. I'd like to formally accept the position. Thank you very much. And that's a heck of a Friday, Joe. That's a heck of a Friday. John, listen, John, I'm busting through the door today. Hey, everybody, get the whole family in the living room, you know what I mean? The wife, and go, guess what? Daddy's coming home. Daddy took a new job today, and I'm going to be at all your soccer games and blah, 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 blah. Just everybody throw a party, maybe go to Chuck E. Cheese. It's bad pizza, but it's a big time. It's a big time. There you go. Man, I'm having fun, Joe. Do I really have to go? All right, I got to go. But hey, before I do, you matter, and you do have what it takes. Thank you so much for joining us. Until next time, this is the Ken Coleman Show. Press on.